Brought to you by My 11 Circle. Win first prize 1 crore every day. Download the app now.
नमस्कार, मैं अमित शाह हूँ और स्पोर्ट्स तक पे आप सभी का स्वागत है। जैसे आप जानते हैं कि जस्ट वर्ल्ड कप T20 का काउंटडाउन जो है शुरू हो चुका है and with us the legendary Australian player.
I don't know about legendary.
You are the legend. Yeah.
No, I was the weakling of the team, but no, I was very fortunate to play against some massive legends in Australian cricket in one of the best eras that our country's ever had, so I'm grateful for that.
But when we are talking about the T20 cricket, we remember you because of your Chinaman bowling. So nowadays, we are just talking about the T20 is a batsman's friendly game. But if we can see the bowler like you and the current days, the spinners will be beautiful. Do you think somehow is there for the bowler's game also?
I think it's exceptional that it's a batter's game, but it really sorts the chaff out from the wheat, if you can say that. I hope Indians understand that term. But it really tests your skills. But the good thing about playing three different formats of the game is that you've got to adjust to those different formats, but also the different wickets that you have around the world. And I think each venue should have their own characteristic, and in that you adapt your game to those backswing. It would be interesting to see how he goes on that particular wicket. I absolutely love him. Talking about Hardik Pandya, I'll describe the way that he captained Gujarat. I love the way that he just said, I want to add a bit of Rohit Sharma, Kohli and Dhoni to my captaincy methods. The way he handled his players, the way he handled it under pressure was awesome. But there was one moment there, I just love the way he walks out with the bat or out the top of his mouth. I'll call it ego. He's got that ego about him, which is something special. But he got hit in the head in a game by the Malik from Hyderabad. But just the way he just flushed off the medical staff. I'm the leader here. Went up and faced the next ball. That to me reminded of what cricket was about. Just before my time and around my time, we didn't have the concussion rule, and I really loved that moment. But in saying with all that camaraderie and ego on the field, you need that at that level. His presence, you can feel that presence, but off the field he's so humble, and that's why I've said that he could be a future Indian captain in the white form of the game.
We have seen just nowadays the Indian pacers like Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. He has a speed around 100 and 125. He swings the ball very, very well.
Yeah.
This recent England series we have seen in the T20 games. Even Bumrah, Shami, we have Hardik Pandya. We have a good bowling lineup, and apart from that,
You got Harsha Patel's a very good. Chahal.
Similar kind of a bowler.
You got Harsha Patel in there as well, so that's interesting. And I think on that particular venue there, you got Hardik Pandya as well. He likes to bang the ball in, and we got wide. The wide boundaries are big boundaries, so it's hard to score.
The straight boundary is close.
Yeah. So you've got options there. Booby bowling at 120 but swinging the ball, he can be very effective in Australia. We have Jason Berendorf there, who's picked up a little bit of pace, but when he first started, he was probably around about Booby's pace, but he was swinging the ball prodigiously and getting those early wickets. And if we look at a lot of batsmen now, their footwork, the way they cover swing is not as good as the old days, but they've got to be aggressive at it in T20 cricket. So that's where someone like Booby really comes into play. And I think you'll see the Australian batsmen try and bat out of the crease to him to try and negate that swing. So not give the ball as much time. So Booby might even think about just bowling from behind the crease if he sees them batting outside the crease and give that ball time to swing. So that would be an interesting little concept for Booby to see if he takes that up.
What about your favorite bowler?
Yuzi. I'll be very interested to see how he goes out off the stadium. I've really enjoyed watching him over the last couple of years. He had a bit of a lean run there, but he's really adapted well. He's had a few different dimensions to his game. He's willing to think on his feet, and he's thinking a lot better on his feet right now. I'd just like to see what option he's got just to try and get a little bit of extra bounce on this Perth stadium, because the extra bounce is the one that really troubles the batsmen, because they can't comfortably hit you down the ground when you hit them twice at the bat.
Because ball is coming a little bit faster there. As Australian conditions are suiting for them.
Yeah. So, but I grew up on the wicket, so my bowling is more suited to that than probably most Indian conditions. So, and that's the good thing about travelling, is you grow and you learn. And I sit back commentating the IPL and looking at how other people do it, and I just go back and go, all right, well, I could have done that a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, that's what I had at that stage.
That's how the modern cricket is.
Yeah, and I could have done things differently, but at the end of the day, I don't have any regrets, because there are a lot of ups and downs, and what cricket has given me, the worldly experiences, a lot of people out there don't get to. So I thank cricket for that, and I thank the cricket fans out there for allowing me to do that. And India's been a great space in that world for me, because it's a wonderful culture, and it's given me such wonderful interaction and growth as a person. Yeah.
You're worrying about the Virat Kohli's form, because he's out of colour since last couple of years.
Yeah. I think it's more of a mental thing than anything. Look, he's got the skills. He knows how to do it. He knows what to do. He knows how to play pace and spin. So for me, I think it might be something where his preparation a couple of years ago might be different before leading into a game right now, because he's got an extended family now. He's got kids, and there's other things in his life. So I think it might be just it's not a huge thing, but just the day before the game or that morning of the game, he might be doing something differently than what he did a couple of years ago. So I think if he can find that space just leading into that game, I think we'll see the true VIRAT KoHLi again. You can sit there and talk about form or the way that he's playing out in the middle. But at the end of the day, there's no such thing as form. It's all in the head, and it's anything in life. You sit there when you've got something negative in your mind. If you don't ask the questions of what I have to do moving forward and where do I want to go moving forward, but you concentrate on that negative, you're burying yourself into deeper negativity, and it's not going to do you any justice. So, that's probably a lesson that you can learn there, where just ask the question, what do I have to do to get here and get out of this little funk before it starts. You know how you get a little bit of rust on a pole, and you don't attend to it, and then all of a sudden it gets bigger, and the bigger it gets, the quicker it grows. That's a bit like negativity. So if you think of it like that.
Do you think he needs to just concentrate on the test matches and one days, because T20 is now the younger generation's game?
No. I think he. Look, you bring up a very interesting point there, because there's so much he can achieve in test level, and the one day game. You've got the great Sachin Tendulkar there, and at one stage he looked as though he was going to get to 100 hundreds in all of those formats. But the game has changed, and there's a lot more focus on T20 cricket. So that could be another thing that's sort of confusing his goal set in a sense. I think when he first started out with cricket, one days and test cricket would have been his main focus. One days would have been his next focus, and he would have been looking up to Sachin Tendulkar. But now you introduce T20 cricket, and we're having a lot more T20 World Cups. So all of a sudden, those goals could be a little bit confusing for him, and trying to let go of those initial goals could be tough with the change of landscape in our great game.
And one last question: what is your take? Who will be the winner at Australia? Basically, because Australia never won in their country, and you guys are hosting the first time World T20.
Yep. For me, I think India are the favourites.
Is it?
I think they've got more exposure to T20 cricket and pressure cricket with the IPL in that regard. Australia are favourites being on home soil. I think Pakistan with their bowling attack are up there. You can't write England off, but they probably rely heavily on their batting more so than their bowling. So if their batting doesn't fire, they don't have that defensive game. So that's probably why I'm not putting them in that echelon of the champions. In New Zealand, when they come to Australia, they always put up a good fight. So they are great. I just think with South Africa at the moment, they've got a little bit of uncertainty with the way they're going about their business. But you know, South Africa, with the way that they've had the political change over the years, they've always managed to compete. And when they were in times of adversity, they always managed to find a way to stand up, and they're a very strong culture. So you can't really write them off. So they're probably the 6 teams that you're looking at. West Indies, I really want them to do well because they're entertainers of the game. They're very athletic. They do it differently, and we want to see teams do things differently because that's what the fan enjoys. They enjoy a bit of variety. But at the end of the day, the 3 teams out the top with their bowling attacks is probably the teams to beat. And for India, I play with him in our Kolkata Knight Riders. He went to Mumbai.
And Rajasthan Royals too,
but Rohit Sharma gave him a role to play. He really settled in that role, and we saw the best of him. And that Surya Kumar Yadav, I think, with the way that he plays, he can really do some damage and set up some real good wins for India over there in Australia. So Surya Kumar is probably the one to watch. And Hardik Pandya and Jadeja with their all-round ability gives you a great balance. So that's probably why India are probably slightly ahead of Australia just with those all-round options. And the last time I wrote Australia off was the last series, and I'm going to do it again because when I say that they won't win, they will win.
Yeah. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
मेरे साथ जुड़िए मनाने के लिए क्रिकेट का सबसे बड़ा त्योहार। मैच से जुड़े आपके हर सवाल का हम देंगे जवाब। जानने के लिए हर अपडेट, लाइव एनालिसिस, स्पेशल इंटरव्यूज, डाउनलोड कीजिए स्पोर्ट्स तक ऐप।